David, do you have a lion within you?
I've heard it said before
Huh?
by others that I am a lion. All of me,
Who, who said that?
just they,
They?
they, yeah, they and them say it all the time. Man, awesome episode, Chris. Though the lion within just spoke so powerfully to me, and really validated this. The feelings that and the things that we're talking about. That hey, being men and being the best men that we can possibly be takes away from nobody. It doesn't take away from our kids, doesn't take away from our wives, doesn't take away from women, other men. It really is a benefit in our homes, in our businesses, to embrace who we were created to be, and it's good.
Yeah, man. There are some action steps in this episode, like things that you can implement immediately. So don't miss that. Get your pad and paper out, your pen, ready to take notes, and go listen. This is a good one, I promise you.
You're listening to Filling the Storehouse podcast. I'm David.
And I'm Stuart, and we want to walk with you on the journey to living the abundant life through faith, family, and freedom. Our goal is to refine our why while helping you find yours. Together, achieve our best and highest purpose. In the end, we'll drive each other to intentionally fill our storehouse.
My main man, Stewie, I am fired up. The details for our next retreat just dropped and can be found on our website. And dude, I'm stoked.
Yeah, man, these Kinetic Men retreats, I come away from these things with my cup like completely filled. We have amazing speakers come and talk to us, amazing men full of fellowship, and we do fun things, we do hard things, and we just get after it. It's great. Go check it out. Come join us. Giddy up, David. You said giddy up. Let's go.
I did, man. I've been Giddy Up has been I wish I would have embraced Giddy Up for more of life. I think it's so appropriate in so many places, and it really it's about action, man. And
Yeah.
I'm about action. You're about action. I know our guest today, Chris, is about action. So I think I've been using it, throw it in there, but I think I'm going to fully embrace Giddy Up, because that's not a big thing that we did used in California or out west.
Yeah, I don't think
At
that's
least
much of
where I'm
a
from.
I don't think that's much of a Cali saying. But
No, but it should
but
be.
I really want to hear Chris say giddy up because he's got
Oh
a real good
man,
accent that would really
let's hear
really
it, Chris. You
highlight
you
that.
give it. You will do
Yeah,
it justice.
Yeah, he will.
yeah, because this is what we used to say growing up. Time giddy up, y'all. I mean, you got
Oh
to put the
man,
y'all on the end of it.
Got to
Y'all
put the
totally
L.
messed it up.
That's right. That's right.
I don't know if I can get with the y'all, but the Giddy Up, I really like. Hey, I'm super excited about today. We laid some ground rules out. A lot of our listeners know these ground rules, but Chris, I just want to recap them as we dive in today. First off, super excited about just this conversation about men and really diving into the importance of what you're focused on and something we're focused on. But for ground rules, we talked about this beforehand. There's going to be moments that one of our biggest core values, laughter, is going to come out in this. And I just want to encourage you and edify you in making fun of Stuart, because it brings a sense of joy and comfort. And I truly believe God's will into every conversation when we just kind of inject some of that in there.
I got you, man. Okay, I'll just lean into that.
David,
Yeah.
so there's a question that we ask in our mastermind group, kind of an icebreaker when we first start our group. And the question is, if there's an Olympic sport that you could start that you were really good at, that doesn't exist right now, and you could win the gold medal, I think David's Olympic sport would be trying to make fun of Stu.
Man, there's no try. There's no try. Just do, buddy.
Yeah.
Just do.
Chris, over to you, man. Give us a little bit of background about who you are, where you're from. You're like from the Northeast somewhere, right? Like New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, something like that. Is that
Yeah,
that
downtown
right?
New York. That's it.
Downtown.
That's it. Yeah.
But yeah, give us a little bit of background about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, man. So just south a little bit, North Carolina. So just north of Raleigh. I know it's hard to hide and it's hard to believe, but yes, I am from North Carolina. And so we kind of got this thing called The Lion Within Us. And it's started out as a podcast that serves Christian men to help them be the leaders God intends them to be. That's the whole theme of the show. but it's turned into much more to where we started a community to serve these Christian men. And man, that's turned into, just wonderful ways to serve them, with from live event that we're planning to every week we get together virtually and bring guys together through masterminds and just Bible studies, getting into the Word. We have a little boot camp going for dads right now. We have challenges every month. We're getting ready to kick off our spiritual intimacy challenge for our guys in February, because we don't want this to be, Valentine's Day just to be like candies and, flowers like everybody else does. Like, let's be a little bit different as Christian men. So, it's just about leaning into the hard stuff, man. So, I mean, I lead from experience and the roads the trials that I've suffered. So, I mean, I've gone through divorce, I've gone through child loss, not being a good steward of God's provisions, and just taking all those lessons learned and turned them into ways to serve others. And it's all about glorifying God and serving others, man. So that's the whole point of everything that I do. If I can try to bring a little bit of, something to someone else's life, man, that's a good day. And I found at the Lion Within Us, we're doing that every day, man. And it's organic. It's not forced. And that's the cool part about it, because, sometimes these men things, it feels like really pumped up with masculinity, which is cool. But ours is just like, it's just real, man. I talk about real things and the real issues that I face, and it connects with these guys, and they're able to bring it up and just be, I tell them, I say, look, leave fake you at home, because fake you's doing just fine. Like, bring real you. Let's talk about that. So that's what we do.
Man, I love that. It's interesting. I feel like kindred spirits here, because it's, a couple of things you really touched on was your passion, not only using your experiences, but your passion to bring that into the conversation. But, we have real ground rules outside of making fun of Stu. Real ground rules for our group is you come and you're honest and you're vulnerable. And I love what you said there, because the fake you is doing great, right? The fake you that is, talking about football and sports and the weather and gas prices,
the Insta
life, the
Yep.
Facebooks and the selfies. Those individuals are doing great and potentially even thriving, and potentially you have thousands of followers. But the real man, coming to a group of men who are all ninjas, in our group, and I'm sure your group is very similar. They're all phenomenal human beings. They're all ninjas. They're all successful by the world's standards, but there's so much more to us. And a lot of times we don't share that. A lot of times we don't have the environment, the safety, the comfort to share that. But the intentionality of a group that like you created, it forces that. You don't have an option. If you want to be here, then be here. And this is what we're going to do. So I love that. And I'm just curious, what, if we go back a little bit, you mentioned starting the podcast, but what prompted you to start any of this stuff? What was it, an event? Was it a conviction? What caused you to take the step to start building this out?
Yeah, I mean, so in 2019, my job shifted big time. My secular job, which I still have that, the Lion is still getting going. So I haven't gone 100% to that, but God's calling me there pretty soon, I know. But so in 2019, my job shifted, and I was doing a lot of traveling for my work, riding, driving. And I started listening to a lot of podcasts. And I think after about the 20th time of listening to Gary Vee say, if you don't start a podcast, you're an idiot, I was like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and start a podcast. So I pitched it to my company, and they looked at me like I had three heads. They're like, do you want to do what? I'm like, yo, this is going to work. Trust me. So they're like, okay, they gave me a little small budget, like enough to buy a mic and a board, and then, so I was like, all right, let's go. And then, so I recorded the first episode in February, 2020. And then we all know what happened in March. I was like, oh crap, what am I going to do? So I brought everything to my house. I built a home studio, which I'm sitting in right now. And bro, we never missed a beat. Like, we're at episode 230 something now for that show. I've interviewed CEOs from all over, people all over the world get downloaded. It's put it gave our company a little bit of an influencing voice in that industry. And that's very niche, right? But it taught it to me. So then about mid 2021, God started laying it on me, and he was like, all right, bro, I've taught you. Now you're going to use it for me. I was like, what does this mean? So I started praying about it and talking to my wife about it. And I'm like, I really think he wants me to start a podcast to serve Christian men. And she started laughing. And I was like, why? I said, why you laugh? She's like, because God's got a sense of humor. Because we have, at the time, 3 daughters and my wife. I'm the only dude in my house, right? This is it. And like God's like, yeah, you need to lead Christian men, or maybe because he knew I was surrounded by estrogen, I need a little bit more testosterone, whatever that is, right? So we just leaned into it, and she and I came up with the name. We were praying about that, and then I got with a buddy who's helping me with a lot of the technical stuff, and man, next thing you know, like we had about 2 months worth of recordings recorded, and then January 1st, 2022, we hit launch, and I mean, the growth was exponential, and it still blows me away. Like we had our biggest download week last week. When I look at the numbers, I don't understand it because they're just a redneck from North Carolina who talks about God, but people are connecting and they're listening and they're sharing and they're joining our community. So, I mean, that was been and since then it's just being obedient to the next step, Like, I don't know what the final step is, bro. Like I'm talking to you today. If you'd asked me 2 months ago, I was talking to you like, who are these guys? But like, it's just, you just be obedient with the next step and be very thankful for what God is providing. And I just feel like he's just blessing it because that obedience is there. And I'm just willing to do the things that he's called me to do. So that's kind of a little bit of a story to get us where we're at.
I love it, man. So I'm curious, explain the lion within us. Give us that background about what that means.
Well, bro, for me, I just look at like, when I go to church, Southern Baptist church, man, and like all we talk about is the Lamb of God. And I get it. Like Jesus total. Yeah, completely. He had to do what he had to do for us, complete, yet that he was the perfect, spotless lamb. But we forget that he's the Lion of Judah too, right? I mean, this is the manliest man to ever live is Jesus Christ, right? And if you want to throw up like, who's masculine now, people are going to throw up stuff like, Stallone, like Rocky Balboa or John Wayne or Clint Eastwood. And they start thinking Christian man, they start thinking like, Ned Flanders or Mr. Rogers or Chris Tomlin. I'm like, look, bro, no, like the manliest man that ever lived was Jesus. Like you do not mess with this dude. Like he yelled at a dead guy and brought him back to life. That's all he did was he yelled at him. Like, I mean, he cleared a whole temple. He went out, made a whip, came back, cleared a whole temple by himself while his boys stood to the side because it didn't say the disciples help. No, Jesus did this by himself. So like that should amp us up. That should get us pretty jacked up right there. So I just, man, I lean into that lion, the Lion of Judah. That lion was within all of us because once the Holy Spirit comes within, bro, yeah, we got the Lamb of God stuff, but we got the lion too, and we need some doggone lions to stand up, start flipping some tables, and be a man and leading our communities.
Dude, I love that. I was at a men's pancake breakfast at our church about a month ago. And
they're fun, right?
Yeah, man, it was good. Great pancakes. Great connecting with other men in my community. And the men's pastor said something, and I wrote it down, and got me fired up, man. It got me fired up, kind of like what you're talking about right now, like this line within us. He said, this idea of let go and let God is producing weak men that are lacking that are lacking passion and lacking courage. We have to stop being passive. We got to stop just letting go and let God and go all in. And we need to be the lion within and start like, just like you said, flipping tables, roaring, like, let's get after it. Right. Mm-hmm. And there's so many men that we've had conversations with. And I mean, we were that men a while ago and probably still are at some degree, of just living this passive life, of just living this life on the hamster wheel, just trying to get by every day and trying to, provide for our families. And what's happening? The question is, what is happening to men right now that is causing all of this? I mean, I'm curious what your thoughts are on it.
Well, I think in many ways from a Christian man standpoint, if you just look at just narrow down that niche a little bit from just overall men, because that's a big topic, to just Christian men, like the church is just feminized, bro. And the reason it's feminized is because we freaking let it happen. The reason the women stepped in to do it is because the men weren't there doing the work. And when the men weren't there, the women stepped up. So, I mean, we have no one to blame but ourselves. But the cool part is we can correct it. Like we can step in and get to start leading and getting in these churches. Now that's going to have to start changing. We got to stop singing these songs like Jesus is our boyfriend first and foremost. Let's like worshiping God for who he really is, not someone that's just going to peck us on the nose and like, wipe our butts and stuff like that. No, this is someone worth worshiping. He is the God of the universe. So let's keep the reverence there. But then let's start actually leaning in and doing things. Because guys, man, we connect shoulder to shoulder. You guys look like pretty fit, active guys. Like, you want to do stuff. You want to get out there, have a little sweat, have some true fellowship, like the pancake breakfasts. Those things are great. Our church does that stuff too. But usually we eat a biscuit. We hear about how some football player used to do drugs. He don't do drugs no more. And then we go to church. Like, we don't actually do anything. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's just like, all right, why can't the men actually do something together and actually take it to the next level? So, man, that's where I see, like, the feminization is there. Look, I tell my wife, and she'll tell you too. We had a son about two and a half months ago. He's colicky, so we're not sleeping good. So I'm losing track of time. So I think it's somewhere in November we had him.
You're excused, man. You're excused. It's all good.
It's all good.
That's it. So, like, we had a son, and I told her, it's like, you realize with our daughters, I can't teach them to be women. Like, I can show them what to expect out of a man, but I can't teach them to be a woman. That's your job. You have to do that. She's like, fully got it. I was like, now, that little baby you're holding, you can't teach him to be a man. That's my job. And she's like, you are 100% right. That she said, I have no, and that's just fundamental stuff. And when you say that kind of stuff now, like, you get blasted. I mean, people they don't want to hear it, but it's truth. And it's just, and I have my Bible sitting right here in front of me. We just gonna lean in on truth, man, and just lean in on that. And that's what we're gonna go with. So, I mean, I think if we had more guys willing to do that in church, and we made church more engaging in a way of actual meaningful service, or ways that guys would want to do stuff. If it's even as simple stuff like just playing hoops or whatever, like, just do something to get guys active. I think that's going to get the wheels spinning, and then get guys plugged in a lot more. And that's what we need.
Yeah. I love that. And I can relate, in our house, and I like to tell the story, but it goes deeper than taking the kids to the park. Right. So my wife and I have an understanding with one another that when I take the kids to the park, it looks vastly different than when the moms take the kids to the park. And I'm very active in doing that. I've always been very active in doing that, more so now. It used to be like the time, right? When we were active duty military, the time was limited. We were putting a lot of time in the command, but I would come home and I'd go across the street to the park, and what it looks like is kids climbing to the top of slides, not on the inside of the tube slide, on the outside. They're jumping off. I'm catching them, throwing the kids as high as we can, doing like a CrossFit workout with the kids, see how high we could throw them. And here's the thing: they love it. They love it. Yep. My daughter and my sons. And the best part about it is then the rest of the kids at the park would form a line. Me next. And so I'd go around to the moms and be like, hey, are you guys good if I throw your kids? And no mom ever said no. but you get engaged in a way. And my wife would come out, she'd be like, she'd make these noises, right? And I'm like, look, those noises are not welcome at the park. So you can go home. And I wasn't being chauvinistic. I wasn't being rude. I was like, look, honey, this is my time.
Right.
I love you. And I love that you care about this and their safety, but this is daddy time. And we're going to do dangerous stuff because it's fun.
Yeah.
And so I disinvited her, and guess what? She was cool, right? She's like, okay, I'm just going to go home because I don't like any of this. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. And so I think there's something. I was listening to a podcast, and I'll just share this. I was listening to an interview with Jordan Peterson, and people, he's very polarizing, and you can have your opinion. But one thing he said men should be dangerous. And the interviewer was like, took exception, who was also a man. He said, so what you're saying that men should be dangerous, that doesn't make sense. And he said, look at martial artists. It's not that we need to be a danger to others. It's that people should recognize that if called to, we are dangerous, like a lion, right? Yeah. And he said, look at a martial artist. They're very dangerous individuals. They don't preach going out and kicking people in the face. But if the time came that they had to kick somebody in the face, they could kick somebody in the face.
That's right.
And so it was just embracing this idea of manhood. And I think it's so critical. So I love that you said that. And I'm curious, how do you give us some practical steps to get after this, right? Is this conversation based? Is this, you talked about playing hoops, doing action stuff, but what are some of the things that we can demystify manhood and also take back some of the essence of it? And it doesn't have to be a pejorative to women. It can be a celebration of manhood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's several ways. And I talk about a couple ways for the guys inside the community right now, particularly if they want to start figuring out how they can start plugging back into their church. Because I'm trying to really help these guys, like, how can you actually bring some masculinity back into the church building itself and start taking over? So I give them a couple areas that serve me well, and I don't bring up anything to these guys that I haven't personally done and seen the value of. First of them is like safety and security. Now you look, you're ex-military, first of all, thank you for your service. Like, we need guys that are just the sheepdogs that are in our church buildings every Sunday or whenever the doors open, Wednesday night, whatever it may be, just, kind of being that guy that's looking out, just being it. You never know, man. I mean, the world we live in, you see this stuff happen all the time. So that's a quick way, that can women be on safety and security? Yes. But an effective man who is perhaps he's got a concealed carry, he's got some BJJ training. That's the guy that I want standing out watching, being that sheepdog. Well, I'm in there worshiping, doing my thing, right? So that's a quick way, or like you got guys right now. I think the biggest need that I see is that with our youth and our children. So, in our church, he breaks it up like through sixth grade is the children's department, and then sixth through 12th grade is like the youth, right? And a lot of churches somewhere they vary on that line, but it's pretty similar. Problem is, man, like when there are hardly any true men that are in there leading those groups week in, week out, working with them. Now, you'll usually have a pastor. I get that, but that's just one dude, that and they need help. Particularly when you start getting to 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, these young boys, a lot of times they don't have strong male influences at home because usually most of them, the mom's the only one coming to the church, right? So let's give them an opportunity to have a real man step in and show them, like you said, what it's like. To your story about throwing the kids up and down on the playground, man, like go on a youth trip and actually have some experiences with these guys. Take them camping. I was talking with a guy on our show, and he did that. He took some boys camping, just him and the boys. They backpacked in, and they stayed up all night. No rules, right? You just being guy stuff, like just literally living off the land there for a couple of days. They came back and they told their moms what had happened, and their moms flipped out. They're like, "What do you mean he did all this and he let you guys just do all this stuff?" And he just told them, "Said, look, you trusted me to help these guys turn into men," and that's exactly what I did. So, I mean, I think stuff like that, man, and then down to some other fundamental stuff like budgets and finances. You look at all these churches, there's a lot of money that gets transferred. It gets passed through these churches. We need some doggone men stepping up in these budget meetings and asking some hard questions. And let's look and truly understand, are we glorifying God with what we're being provided, right? So, I mean, that's a quick opportunity right there to take some lessons you learned from business and entrepreneurship, whatever that may be, and serve God. So let's make sure we're being good stewards with the financial blessings that are coming to the church. That, again, 3 quick ways I think masculinity really needs to lean in here, and guys can take and make a huge impact just in their local community.
And one point I want to emphasize, because I hear it in your heart and I hear you saying it, and this is something that I think we run into. What I think is interesting in this polarized environment is that when we say things where men can step up, a lot of people receive that as, wow, that's misogynistic. Only men can do finances. No, that's not what anybody's saying. We're saying that men can step up, and we should celebrate that. We should celebrate men becoming involved in a church. We should celebrate dads who, Stu and I talk about all the time. Like, I want to spend money in my personal finances at my house to create a honeypot to attract kids. And whether that's a significant investment of a pool, of game room in the basement, of things to do. And the reason for that is because I want my influence on my kids and my family and my kids' friends.
Yeah.
And we can all do that, right? We can all do that. My wife was telling me a story about a man who does dirt church, because we're in Colorado, we do skiing, snowboarding. And the dad was saying, oh yeah, I do dirt church. I go mountain biking. And the mom takes the kids to church. And I look at that and I'm like, man, that's not cool. I don't find that to be cool. It sounds cool, but it's not cool because now there's an element missing.
Right.
And I think if we just step up, it is not to the detriment of a woman. It's to the benefit of being a man.
Right. Amen, bro.
But Chris, men are too busy to go do all that stuff. We're too busy.
Yeah, you got dirt church. You got dirt church.
Dirt church. We're too busy working. We're too busy at our job. We're too busy providing.
Yeah.
So what?
We like to tell ourselves that lie, right?
We don't have time for all that other stuff, Chris.
That's right. We love to tell ourselves that lie, particularly. I mean, if you want to tell what's important to a man, you just look at a checkbook and his calendar. That's it. You know, if you look at those two things, I can tell you very quickly where this man's priorities are.
Yes.
Because I guarantee you can sit down at any dinner table tonight, and I dare you to sit down at dinner and actually have dinner with your kids, guys, without your freaking phone or TV on. Actually sit down with them and actually talk. Sit down with them and ask them, would they rather have this next video game, or would they rather have you for a weekend to actually go out and hang with them and just go to the park and throw them up in the air? 10 out of 10, they're going to want you to hang with them, man. It's not about the money. You know, kids spell love Time. You know, and we got to remember that, man. They just want us. They want to be around us. But like, we have to actually be there, be where our feet are. I tell guys that all the time. Like, it's one thing to be at the dinner table and got this doggone cell phone here, and I'm just sitting here texting or doing stuff on that the whole time, versus actually just engaging in conversation. So like, be there, man. Actually be there and step up, because this excuse of you're too busy and stuff like that, man, it's just lazy. You know, you're just being lazy. I mean, because I guarantee you, whatever you're playing golf or hitting the dirt bike track on Sunday, whatever that is, man, like if it was a priority to lead your family effective and to lead them well, you'd make it a priority. But unfortunately, we're too concerned about where our kids are going to go to college versus where they're going to spend eternity. And that's where the freaking problem is, man. Like, we should actually care more about their salvation than what's going on in their school and all that stuff. Like, I get it. All this stuff's important. Don't miss what I'm saying. But we definitely, the number one priority is their relationship with God. And that starts with your relationship with God. And you have to actually lean into that and make it happen. And through those actions, you know, more's taught than taught, right? You can sit there and preach, but they're going to watch what dad does. So if dad says, you know what, I ain't going to church on Sunday, guess what? Kids ain't going to do it either, man. So the stats just show the dads that engage, plug in, man, they bring their families to salvation. And that's a masculine, very, very manly thing. And that's something that we should be celebrated for sure.
Yeah, dude, that's so good. We had Adam Griffin. He's the pastor of Eastside Community Church in Dallas. He wrote a book called The Family Discipleship. And he was telling us it's a fairly new church that he planted in Dallas. And he was telling us that young men, the construct of like young adults in his church is like 75% women, 25% men.
Mm-hmm.
Young single women, 75% are going to the church. There's only 25% men going to this church. And his wife is an emergency room nurse helping deliver babies. And she said that this is the norm for there not to be a man there when a woman goes in to have a baby.
How sad is that, man?
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy to me. And so, you know, to me, like, I 100% agree. Like, I love your statement of we're thinking more about where our kids go to college than where our kids go for eternity. It's such an amazing thought that if you really think about that, we need to be changing our priorities and where we are teaching, what we are teaching. And so I'm curious, as a disciple, as a disciple of men, as a disciple of children, what are we practically doing? What can we practically do at home to teach our children, to teach other men to be disciples and to look, you know, to forever first?
Man, I think it's first of all, it's very simple. It starts with just getting in the Word as a family. Yeah. And this is basic stuff because, like, you know, we're talking basic blocking and tackling, right? Read the Bible, pray. Read the Bible, pray. So many guys, I've had guys almost turn white and pass out when I asked them to pray with their wife. And I'm like, bro, we talking about, like, one of them is so funny. I always bring the story up, but he's a missionary. And I brought up the idea of you should pray with your wife. And I thought he was going to faint. He's like, I don't know how to pray with my wife. I'm like, you do this for a living. How do you not know how to pray with your wife? Like, come on, bro. Like, seriously. It's like a butcher not know how to cut meat. What in the world is that all about? So anyway.
But why, real quick, why is it? Like, what, that fascinates me. What was the hang up?
He had never even considered it, man. he has always prayed for her, like to himself, but he had never taken her hand, looked her in the eye and say, hey, how can I pray for you? Let's pray together. They've never actually gone through and done that. And the more and more guys I talk to, that's pretty common. Like these guys just don't pray with their wife. They'll pray for her. Like they definitely want to pray for her throughout the, at certain times, but not like a regular occurrence. So, but I think, man, just getting into the word, and there is something powerful. If you just open your house to the Holy Spirit and you invite the Holy Spirit in, and you actually there's something to be said about just speaking the word out loud, and let your kids be part of that. And don't feel like you have to be this theologian. Like, bro, I've never been to seminary. I study and I listen, I ask questions, because too many guys feel like they can't open this book because it's too intimidating to open. Because what if they ask a question and I don't know? Well, guess what, Buttercup? That's life. It's going to happen. And when I ask that question, it's a great opportunity to learn with them. My kids ask me questions all the time. I don't know the answers, but we go and we dig and we find out. It's called G to G. Go to Google. Figure the stuff out, right? Just get in there and understand. But be willing and be obedient in that. And then prayer. I mean, for us, when we drive to school in the mornings to carpool, I get regulated to carpool duty because I'm not sure how I drew the short end of that stick. But anyway, that's my life. And so I'm driving them carpool in the mornings. Bro. Amen, bro. So it's just like, I got to do something in the mornings not to go crazy at carpool. So we just pray. Like my oldest starts, my second one goes, and then I pray because the littles they're just babbling. And so we're just praying, and we just pray on, and that gets us to school, and I'm in a much better mindset. But they know it's very common for us to pray as a family. It's not this weird thing. We go on a trip, we're going to pray. If things are happening right now, hey, we should just stop and pray. That's something they're very used to, right? It's not outside the norm. And they know their dad is in the word. They see me they actually see me because I challenge guys all the time. And I love to get y'all's take on this. So there's a lot of guys who take these cell phones and I talk about them like they're terrible, but they're not. There's a lot of good. I mean, people are listening to this podcast on cell phones and they read their Bible on it. I don't personally do that because for me, if my daughter, my 12-year-old, she comes into the kitchen and she sees me on my phone and I could be in deep into Isaiah. I got Isaiah open right now. I could be deep in Isaiah reading it. And she couldn't tell if I'm reading Isaiah or if I'm checking out my Instagram account she's just seeing dad on the phone. However, she walks in, dad's got his Bible out. There's no question what I'm doing, right? And the visualizations, they need to see that. They need to see the Bible open, you in it. And then actually talk about it with them. I think that's just two simple ways, man. Get in the word and pray together to really get started. That's not so super intimidating. It's really not. You could literally a lot of our Bible study, we just read it and we'll just read it. I remember one night, man, I was so frustrated. Family game night, you know how that goes. It either goes great or it goes terrible. Well, this night it went terrible. Yeah. It was horrible. I don't remember what it was. It was Uno or Skyjo or something, but all I remember was Daddy got pissed off and I was mad. And
one of the kids always tries to cheat,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And there's just things were just, it didn't go well. So I was like, put it all up, go get your Bibles. And I said that in a very loud voice. And they went and got their Bibles. They came back to the table. I said, I told my oldest, I said, start reading in John. So she read John chapter 1. I said, well, she got to chapter 2. I told my 10-year-old, now you read chapter 2. She read chapter 2. I looked at my wife. I said, you read chapter 3. And we got about the 4th chapter. They asked, when are you going to stop? I'm like, when I feel better, we'll stop reading. And so we got through like 6 chapters of John, bro. But it was just a good, because we got through it, but we saturated that moment in the word, man. And it's just little moments. And some people hear that and they're like, this dude's crazy. And I'm like, yeah, probably a little bit. But you know what? I'd rather be crazy for Jesus and teach them these things in those moments than try to push, my way on them, because my way is wrong. I could feel my emotions building up that my octave wanted to go down to my voice. I wanted to get elevated. It's like, you know what? I just need to let the Spirit do the work. And he did. And he completely diffused that bomb and we were cool to go. But a couple of years ago, no way that would happen with me, man. I mean, no way. So it's just, I try to do that kind of stuff to learn and grow. And that's all because of our community. We're doing that stuff together, man.
Well, and I think there's a lot of power too in just doing, right? Like we think things are intimidating. We think things are, that wall is really high, but the intentionality of looking at what we're doing is so powerful because it just takes some of that pressure off it. And if you're intentional about looking at what you're currently doing, there are things that you are doing right now that have become normalized in your family and in your life. And so normalizing something else is really not a big stretch if you're intentional enough. And it's funny that you mentioned the cell phone. Stu and I just yesterday, there are a number of apps that are very that are good, right? We have this habit share app that we're holding each other accountable. We have the Bible app. We've been going through we've done 3 or 4 years now in a row of going through the Bible in a year on that app,
Bible in a year,
holding each other accountable. There's these apps, and I told Stu yesterday, I was like, look, man, I'm thinking of getting rid of these apps because while they are good, and I'm just trying to be very intentional and recognizing what happens. While they are good, when I open them, I'm in my phone. Yeah. And that inevitably opens the temptation to, okay, well, let me check LinkedIn. Let me check my email. I'm here to read the Bible. So it's, and Stu was like, man, I'm thinking about getting, not reading the Bible on this app anymore. To your point exactly, so that when it's very clear what we're doing, because it's not clear what we're doing.
And Chris,
I love that.
Yeah. Literally, 2 days ago, we had this conversation. I'm finishing up reading Proverbs on the YouVersion Bible app. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to read my Bible on here anymore because of that exact same thing. Like, I want my kids to see me at the kitchen table. If they come down early, if they wake up early and they come down and I'm in my morning routine, I want them to see me reading the Bible, the actual physical Bible. I don't want them to see me looking at my phone, even though I'm looking at my phone reading the Bible. Because you're exactly right. Yeah. To them, that could be anything, right? And it's just that mirroring that I want my kids to see. Like, I want them to see that I just came up from a workout and I'm all sweaty and nasty because, I'm working out hard, right? I want them to see me reading the Bible. I want them to see me doing the things that are important to me in my life that I think are valuable. And so, yeah, man, today was my last day of reading Proverbs, Proverbs 31. I'm putting it away, I'm taking it off, and I'm reading the physical Bible from now on.
Bro, I got a funny story since you guys are talking about this one. So I was talking about discipleship group, and we get together on Saturday mornings, and one of the guys is animate about that version of the Bible. Like, he makes his notes in it, right? He has this. So we were battling back and forth. It was a good battle, but I was winning, and it was one of those things where it was like, look, bro, like my Bible, like this thing, it's notes all over it. There's highlighted, there's underlines, there's things that the Spirit reveals, and I'm just going to write that stuff in the margins, and it's used, right? It's something that's tangible that I'm going to be able to hand my son or my daughters one day, when I pass and go on to be with him, they'll have this. So I asked him, what you going to do, bro? He's like, well, I guess I could leave him a login. I'm like, you realize how stupid that sounds? You're going to leave him your login?
That's awesome, man. That is awesome.
That is, come on, man. We don't want to leave a login. Leave something to it. So anyway, that was just funny.
In 20 years, they're going to have some virtual reality thing where you're a login to a YouVersion Bible app isn't going to even exist anymore.
Yeah. He said that. I was just checkmate, bro.
But I think even in 20 years, our whether it's our kids or whomever, to have something in our hand, physical to hold, that's never going to go away, right? We think we think it is. A lot of the kids these days with the virtual world and the virtual friends and the all my likes and my loves and my hugs and emojis and all that. But in reality, I did this morning. I hadn't done this, but in our group, somebody brought up it takes 20 seconds in a hug to release certain endorphins or whatever it was. So we'd have this funny kind of challenge going through the group. And this morning before I got in my car, I'm like, hey, honey, Erica, let's do this 20-second hug real quick. Let's just see. And man, and this was just this morning, and I'm holding her. She give me a hug. And I was surprised. She totally was like, yeah, okay, cool, let's do it. And so we're hugging, and man, it was awesome. It was awesome. And there's no amount of emojis that will ever, no amount of text messages, no amount of anything that will ever replace the ability to hold somebody, to give them something physical, a Bible, a note, or something that they're going to cherish forever. And I think we need to be intentional with these things. Think through. I'm even not wrestling with it or struggling in any way, but with the podcast. trying to think, 40 years down the road, and what the content of, can my children listen to these episodes and feel my love for them communicated through just another medium? Because that's more important to me than, no offense, Chris, but that's more important to me than, the nuggets that we gain from a particular interview, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And them to be able to embrace that and learn from it. And so I think the intentionality, man, is, and I want to talk a little bit about the intentionality of the Lion Within, like some of the things that you guys are doing specific to your community, the things that you're focused on. And let's dive into that a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And by the way, I love that 20-second thing. If you don't mind, I'm going to use that for one of our tips, because every Friday I do a health, wealth, self tip. Like, so that'd be a great marriage tip. My question to you is there a timer? Like, how do you know you get the 20 seconds, man?
I just count in my head, man.
Okay.
But you got to do like the 1/1000s. I think there's lots of ways to do it, but you can't be 1, 2, 3, 4. No, you got to be like 1001, 1002.
So I did this as well with my wife, and like we were kind of in a rush to get out there. I was like, wait. I got to give you a hug. I was like, I got to give you a 20-second hug. It helps build oxytocin. And she like laughed. She's like, all right, whatever. And so I come in and like I start hugging her, and like I start counting like out loud. I'm like 1/1000, 2/1000, 3/1000. And then she starts laughing. She starts like laughing with tears coming out. There's like, this is so long. I'm like, yeah, isn't it awesome? She's like, this is the longest hug ever. But hey, man.
And Mark, I got to give credit where credit is due. He said he read it somewhere. I don't know where he read it, but Mark Cox, he's in our group. Mark Cox is the one that shared with our group, and now we've got this. He's
a Marine. It's coming from a Marine, which is really weird.
From a Marine. Yeah.
That's really cool, man.
Chris, try it, man. It's good.
I'm gonna use that one for real, man. No doubt. So yeah. But yeah, I mean, so far as like intentionality within the Lion, man. So I mean, a couple of things we do to really help our community grow. Like every day, every morning, Monday through Friday, I go live and I just read scripture. And it literally is, we're just working through scripture. And then I share a little bit of what God's revealed to me. And I found that the feedback on that has been, it puts a real purposeful intention in front of the guys to just be in the word. Because many of them just follow along with me. They'll just follow along, but it gets us, it's a habit. We're just building new habits, man. They know.
Where do you do that? Just not to interrupt you, but where, so people that are interested, where do you do that?
It's all within our community. So we built a community that's outside of Facebook. So like it's on our own platform. So just the lionwithin.us, we do a 30-day free trial, because I don't want anybody to commit to anything without seeing what it's like, because it may not be for everyone, right? And so it's right there. It has a lot of that social media look and feel, but without any of the junk. Like you talked about, you got rid of all the apps. One of our guys last night in one of our groups said he got rid of every app on his phone except the app for our community, because this is the one that feeds him. It's helping him grow. So that's a daily, I call it a daily spiritual kickoff. I do that every day, Monday through Friday, good Lord willing, and we're able to do that. And then we have, once a week, we have a Lion lunch, and we just get together, the guys, and to be surprised what it's like just for guys to break bread, even though it's virtually. But the stuff we talk about, man, I come with no agenda. I literally put on in the meeting notes, no agenda, no sales, no fluff, no crap. Like that's the rules. Like just be real. Just come with something to talk about. And guys show up every week for that. And then we have our Bible study on Thursday nights. They do a Bible study Saturday mornings. We have once a month, I bring in a guest from the show. This has been a pretty cool thing. We just call her Ask Me Anything, where the guest is basically just a firing round. Like they're live, and the guys come in, they're just asking their questions, man. And they're just pouring into them. So it's been really cool to see. We have challenges every month. So this January, we're finishing up our health challenge. And it's not like, you need to lose 10 pounds or 5 pounds. It's basic stuff that I just found it helped me, like, drink a gallon of water a day, consume 100 grams of protein a day, sleep 7 to 8 hours a night, do 3 workouts a week. And it could be a cardio, a HIIT, a strength training, something just to get moving, and then get 8 to 10,000 steps in a day. Like basic fundamental stuff that's just going to help us all be better physically to do the work that he's called us to do. But there's an accountability to that. So that we put these pods against each other within our community. So when you come in, you get into like a little small group within the big group. So that's been cool, man. Like our February challenge has got everybody jacked up, because it's about a spiritual intimacy challenge. And it's about being more connected with our wives, leading up to our Valentine's Day. It's just a 14-day challenge. But man, guys are just leaning into the accountability. They're leaning into the vulnerability too, the ability to actually bring the true selves there, because that forum, these guys they're bringing up real stuff, bro. I mean, they're bringing up divorce, pornography, issues that they're dealing with within their marriage, intimacy. I mean, these guys they're just not afraid to talk about it because they know they're going to get absolute truth when it gets brought up, and they don't have that. And so many of them, I ask, because I've had to ask guys like, why are you so vulnerable? Like on the first meeting, like it's just crazy. Some guys come to the first meeting, they'll just drop it. And they're like, well, I feel like here, I feel like there's no judgment. Whereas if I go to my church and I try to bring this up, first of all, it's hard for me to even bring this up because we don't have environments for that, because maybe their church just has like a Sunday school. They don't even have small group, right? And he's like, so if I do bring it up in my local church, there's chances I'm gonna run into some people, at Target or Walmart or out when I'm out to eat. They're like, this is a little bit safer place. I'm like, I totally get it, bro. So it's just been trying to create an environment like that, and now it's become more of a natural native thing for guys to get in there, to share, to be real and transparent. And to me, it's just been incredible just to watch the things that I've learned from them. Every day, it just blows me away, the stuff that I learned from these guys. And it's just been a really great way for us to connect and have a meaningful, true meaningful men's discipleship as we grow together.
Isn't it cool how as the leaders of this organization, of your organization, of our organization, of this community, like I feel like I've gotten just as much or more from the men in the community than me giving to them. I have changed significantly within my own personal journey of growth, just by like being a part of a community where like men are just holding each other up and just lifting each other up, picking each other up when you're down, and it's really amazing to see, for sure.
It is. No doubt. I see that 100%. The growth I've had the last year spiritually it's been awesome. And I give 100% credit to the Spirit, but then also just being obedient to what the Spirit tell me to do, and we got guys from Canada out to Florida, Texas, all over the country, Utah. I mean, so sometimes I sit in these meetings like, is this real life? I'm like, how is this like really happening that you guys are here? I mean, and they're showing up week in, week out, hour at a time, hour and a half at a time, really putting the time into it. Like one of them was like, he's carved it out in his calendar because he that committed to being there. He's like, my normal group meets on Monday night. He's like, but this is so important. I'm getting so much growth. I'm going to every other Monday just because I want to be here with you guys. And when I hear that kind of stuff, man, it's like, all right, we're bringing some value. We're not just, it's not just fluff, man. It's actual real value, because guys can smell that fluff a mile away. So like let's just be real. And if it's not a good fit, hey, peace, no harm, no foul. Maybe these guys are a different place in life, and that's okay, man, because it's not for everybody. But we definitely try to serve and keep the guys challenged and moving forward. And like I said, I'm with you, man. I totally get that feeling. Like this is helping me more than anybody. So it's incredible.
Yeah, well, that's awesome, man. We're coming up on our time here. David, did you have something?
One last question for you, Chris.
Hey,
one of the things we're trying to figure out, and again, this is not to sell. This is a genuine, heartfelt thing that we're trying to contend with, because we see, not only are we seeing the change in our lives and the intentionality and just the beauty of all the things that are changing for us, but I'm having conversations every day with men in the group, and they're sharing with me, significant changes that have nothing to do with me. The only credit that I think Stu and I would ever even be slightly comfortable with is that we created the environment, is all we did. We created the opportunity, but the everything that's happening in it, oftentimes it's one man speaking a word into another man's life. It has nothing to do with us. We're just witnessing it, and the change is immediate, and it's powerful. And I had 2 conversations just yesterday with men that are like blew me away, had me in tears. And I'm curious, how do you go about convincing men that they need this, right? I feel like the secular world, and it doesn't even have to be necessarily a faith-based thing, but I feel like the business world, say the money world, they do a very good job of convincing men to be like, hey, you need this money. And in reality,
Right.
that couldn't be further from the truth. But how are you going about convincing men like, hey, just come taste this, try it on, because I promise you this is what you need.
Yeah. I really just leaning into our number one way of reach is our show, right? The podcast. So, I mean, that's the biggest way that I'm just trying to share with guys, because I just really try to bring real, genuine conversation there to that show. And I think the biggest thing that all the guys when they come in, they connect, they're like, yo, you're as genuine here as you are on the show. Like, there's no front. I'm like, because there is no front, guys. Like, this is it. And I totally get what you're saying. Like, all I can do, these conversations, they happen in our community too. We just built the environment for that to happen. And then we try to just get out the way. And I'm 100% a spirit guy. Like, I give the Holy Spirit all the credit. Like, I'm literally just doing what he's telling me to do. And from there, we just sit back, and if he tells me to go this way, I'm going to go this way. If he tells me to go this way, I'm going to go that way. So, I mean, I'm just going to follow him and be obedient there. But I mean, so far as getting guys to take that jump, I'm with you. I'm still trying to figure the best way to do that. I think connecting on topics that actually guys resonate with has been really impactful for us. The simple topic on how to pray with your wife. So many guys don't know how to do that. So we're putting a lot of resources behind that, like just basic fundamentals on how to have that conversation with her and what does that look like. But just trying to find guys where they're at, man. I mean, we have areas of strength training. We have areas of guys that anxiety. We talk about these different topics, and I think they draw them in, and then once they're there, they just got to I challenge them. Once you get into the community, like, you got to come to an event. You can't just be a pew sitter. Like, we do not allow pew sitters. Like, you have to come to something or engage somewhere, because that's the only way you're going to grow. You can't just grow just sitting behind your screen and you never cut the camera on, man. Like, you have to actually get into it and have a little bit of transparency here. And that's where we try to do it with guys, man. So, I mean, I think some of them, for us, the lion thing kind of intrigues them a little bit. Okay. Because that's pretty masculine. Like, there's nothing too like, feminine about that. Our lion is pretty dope looking. He's pretty cool. So the guys like that, so they feel pretty cool, and they like we call it the lion's den. So it's got that whole feel to it. But at the end of the day, it's just brothers helping brothers, man, being there to serve each other and trying to just lean in and just be obedient to the Spirit. So, man, I pray blessings for y'all too, because I totally get what you're doing, man. And it's sometimes Satan is going to do all he can we're not going to be successful, but we got to remember we own a winning team, man. So we just got to be obedient to what he tells us and just trust that.
So good, dude. Chris, I've really enjoyed this episode, man. I've got notes here. I'm writing notes. I'm taking your gold bombs and writing them down, and we're going to implement some stuff. I really appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. I know our listeners are going to get a ton of value out of this. Where do we send people to learn more about you? We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, man. I mean, the easiest way is just the lionwithin.us. So, THE lionwithin.us. And then our podcast is out there wherever you guys, want to listen to podcasts at. We are on YouTube as well. We drop on YouTube, but the bulk of our listeners are just, podcast listeners. So that's the easiest way. And then on the main page, 30-day free trial, like literally just hop in there for free. See what you think about it. Let's have a conversation and see if it would serve you. And if not, no harm, no foul. But I guarantee you will get something. You will grow in that 30 days, even if you don't decide to stay with us or not. So at this point, just come in, and you literally have nothing to lose. So that's what we try to tell guys, like, just get in there and try it out.
I like it, man. And you've written a Bible study too, correct? Yeah,
Bible study. That's in the community. So that's all free. So I actually made that into a course as well, a video course. I wrote a ebook around personal finances. So that's in there as well. Turn that into a course. So maybe if you just want to get some basics understandings of stewardship, what that looks like, hey, that's what that course is there as well. Because we kind of focus on 3 areas: health, wealth, and self. So I try to have resources there for guys in those different areas. But those ebooks, that's all free within the community. So, hey, jump in there for 30 days, get all my free stuff and bounce if you want to. That's fine too. As long as you use it for the Spirit, like that's fine, man. It's all good. No harm, no foul there, but hopefully, we can serve the guys that want to be there. And I find that, if people ask me too, they maybe ask you guys, why put a paywall up? Because if you have a paywall up, guys are they're skin in the game. They want to be there. And if they want to be there, they're going to grow. So I'm 100% behind that. And I don't have any problem with it. People got irritated because we shifted from a freemium model to the paywall model. But hey, the guys that are there, man, they are doggone growing, right. And it is awesome. Yeah. So there's something to be said for that.
I couldn't agree more, man. I think, it used to be, if it's free, it's for me. I've gone completely away from that because, when you got skin in the game, and I want to be surrounded by people with skin in the game, as much skin in the game as I have. So,
That's right.
I love that. Hey, before we go, Chris, thank you so much for your time. I love your mission. I love your spirit. I love that you're following your calling. And man, I'll tell you, there are so many dudes that you're not going to know till you get to heaven that you're impacting, and so many women that you're impacting, right? Just through, the better men that we are, the better we can be for our wives, for our daughters, for our kids. The better our kids are, the better they can be for their husbands, wives. It just is this cascading effect, and you are on the front lines of that, making huge impacts. So I just so grateful for you, and God bless you, my brother. Thank you just for what you do, man.
God bless you guys. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Absolutely. Guys and gals, go reach out to Chris. We'll put his website in the show notes. Hey, take up his offer. Go join his community for 30 days. Check it all out. And I guarantee you're going to be a better person, better man for joining his community. Hey, share this episode. Go listen to The Line Within Us, his podcast. Share this, screenshot it, tag us, tag Chris. We greatly appreciate it. That's the best thing that you can do for us. And most important, let's all go fill the storehouse together.
Yeah, make it a great day, friends. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chris.
See you. Big takeaways from that last episode. One of them, giddy up. Can't get with the giddy up, y'all. Can't do that. I can't get with the y'all, but the giddy up. And ultimately that giddy up, hey, get after it, man. Take action. This episode gave not only some deep ideas, some deep thoughts on what it means to be a man, manhood, and all these different things, but also the action steps, the intentionality to actually do something about it, to make a difference, to be better. And hey, that's what it's all about. That's what we're all about is action, the giddy upness of doing something about it and not just talking about these things.
That's right, man. Let's stop like feeling lost. Let's get after it, and let's find purpose again in our lives, the purpose that God created for us. Let's stop, messing around. Let's stop letting go and letting God, and let's get after it. Let's giddy up. We are on the same mission as Chris is with this Storehouse Mastermind. We've started. You can go there, check it all out, check out some videos, check out what our purpose is. Go to storehouse310.com/mastermind. We'd love for you to be a part of our community because we're getting after it. When you join, we're going to say giddy up. So go do it.
Giddy up.
Giddy up.
See you.
Y'all.
Thank you, friends, for listening to Filling the Storehouse. If you are growth-minded, community-focused, and willing to take uncommon action to redefine success and live an abundant life, visit our website at www.storehouse310.com to see all the ways we can connect.
Yeah, on our website, you can find information on everything we're doing, like joining our meetup page to get the details on our webinars and our local Thursday gatherings here in Colorado. From our site, you can also find information on and sign up for our next retreat. Finally, we always appreciate your love and support. Please share this episode and go rate us on your podcast player of choice.
Thank you again. Now go fill the storehouse.